So I could turn over, but doesn't look like that's going to be possible. Don't know if I can be heard. See if somebody come in and see if they can hear me. Hey, homie, can you hear me? Because it didn't look like the mic set up right. Hey, Zakiba, what's happening? Is it you guys hearing me? Watch the movie Swan Song, Greg. Okay, I'll check that out. Oh, okay. If you can hear me, cool. I guess the thing I'm gonna open up with today is the Kim Potter trial. Kim Potter is the one that shot Andre Wright, I think was his name. Basically, the whole thing was over a hat slipping off my head. Okay, hey, there he is, my brother, Return of Thought, Merlin, and the Serpent. I can hear you. Okay, good, because when I was setting it up, it wasn't showing I was being heard. But yeah, the Kim Potter trial is going on. The jury got instructions today, and some key testimony is she admitted during the testimony that she knew she had a gun. What the prosecutor kind of did that was kind of brilliant is the prosecutor had her hold the gun, and then the prosecutor had her hold the taser, and the taser is much bigger. Now, again, in my police experience, we didn't carry tasers. I was on the street from 89 to 92, and we didn't carry tasers. But I've shot in tasers before because I was, as they were we were seeing them and we were trained with them, but we just weren't. When I was a cop, we weren't issued them. Matter of fact, the first tasers were a little smaller than the ones that you see they carry now, which I thought was a better design, but now you see the big bulky ones. I thought from the very beginning of seeing it that her testimony was shaky at the most. Hey, PJ, what's happening? Thanks for joining. I thought saying gun was a built-in alibi because I don't know that personally I would have given the command of taser because, again, as cops, we're trained to give commands. I don't know in my training, and I was even looking at her training officer, the way her training officer was saying, even kind of echoing that a little bit, that really isn't part of your training to announce. Hell, when the fuckers tased me, they didn't announce it, they just tased me. It didn't have any effect on me, but still, they didn't even announce it. So that was kind of iffy. But I still think one thing that was also kind of pertinent to her information was she said that was the first time in 26 years she had to shoot her gun or use the taser, which that was interesting. Again, Brooklyn Park, and I don't know if it's Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, they're kind of little cities, little suburbs, like way north of me. I mean, it would take me, a lot of car dealerships is up there. My ex bought her car up there. It takes about 45 minutes to get up there. That is way north of me. That is north of the Twin Cities. But 26 years, she had never shot a gun, and she had never shot her taser. So that was interesting. As I said before, even going back to Floyd, you can see where Floyd gets arrested at 19. But even going back further, there was a brother named Young that they said he was handcuffed, and they shot him in the head while he was handcuffed. The city protested then. And then we had the Batiste, was that his name? He got shot in one of the suburbs. And if you remember, that was on when Facebook Live was new. They were able to take that shooting. That shooting caused the disturbance, but was interesting the way it ended. It ended in them going to the big giant Catholic church. Now, I know those people weren't Catholic, but that was where they had his thing, which again is a vampirism. I thought it was odd that they decided to have his funeral there. But I said from the very beginning, if you go back, well, my other channel was taken, but I thought this was a test case. And then going back even to Floyd's arrest in 19 seemed like a practice, and you can find that. where he goes, "It's on my mama, man." He keeps going, "On my mama, man." You know, which is a crackhead saying where it's a crackhead that got some credit, and the guy said, "You're gonna pay me back," and he's like, "On my mama, man." You know, and going through the psychology of why people would say that and why people would swear on their mother. It goes back into the single being raised. Like my son had asked me some stuff, and he was like, "You swear on your mom?" And I'm like, I had two parents growing up. You know, I had my stepfather and my father, so I wasn't one of those cats that was in a single household. So, but I thought this was a test case area. So when Floyd happened, again, I thought it was a test. Now, Super Sly and I had broke down the Potter trial, and again, you don't see the fired casing if you watch it. You hear the bang, but you don't hear the ting of the casing falling. No blood. You don't see the blood either. Now, if you watch, the other part is Chauvin pleaded guilty in the federal charge, which is about 15 years by itself, which he can serve concurrently. Now, given that the Muhammad got off or got a lesser charge for him shooting that Australian woman, I thought it was interesting that Chauvin would plead guilty now instead of waiting on the Chauvin case. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So, hey, Greg Deep, she's done. Hey, what's up, Derek? I don't know. She did the crying. I showed a video on my community page. She's crying. Again, is that the new strategy that the European cries and shows their humanism? Does that excuse the behavior? Batman out in the daytime. There you go. I just be tired at night. And like right now, I'm waiting on Mini-Me. She'll be here in about 20 minutes. So I have time right now instead of later. So we'll see how that goes. We'll definitely see if this Kim Powder thing. LAG, Manuel Augustus is probably the most robbed fighter in boxing history. He was robbed so many times because judges was biased as he fought in others' hometown due to his drunken style. I would agree. Very unique fighter in the history of fighting. That brother was the most unique. One thing you can see he picked up from Ali is pulling his head back. But yeah, he had that drunken monkey style. Very hard to judge his fighting. Great counterpuncher, probably one of the best counterpunchers ever. But far as angles of hitting people, probably unmatched. I'd even say his angles were greater than Roy Jones, because if you look at any kind of boxing martial arts, the punches is about angles, and that brother just angles. Hey, what's up, Conspiracy University? Everybody should watch his work, subscribe to him. He has awareness of what's going on today. Yeah, I'm rarely on in the daytime just because be busy during the day. But this time of year and going into the solstice, solstice is kind of sad because we're going to the end of the dark nights. Right now, we're having almost 14, 15 hours of dark, and we're coming to the end of that, the solstice on the 21st. And so then we have the full moon. Some call it the frost moon, coming the 19th at 11:30. I think the energy peaks. So I probably will be coming on that night for that. Conspiracy is in the house. Great brother. One other thing I want you to look at, and you can go to verify some of this, is People and Folks channel, PNF channel. He brings this up, and I bring this up about what they did for Larry Hoover. Now, what you have to believe about Larry Hoover is, remember, Larry Hoover's in prison for killing a dude over a pound of weed. Murder for a pound of weed. PNF, again, look at PNF's channel, People and Folks channel. He talks about how Larry Hoover is not even really a Chicago dude. Like if you look at Corey Holcomb always talks about Kanye ain't really a Chicago dude. The same with Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover is from Alabama and not really caught in the Great Migration. It's like they killed PNF's father, who would have been who have really, through just his work in the gang, would have gotten the real power of what later became the disciples. And we have Larry Hoover being put in that position. So as we look at what was just done for him, you have to know that this is an agent. This is a person put in this position by the government. And the same, I talked about in Battle Creek, Michigan, there's gangs. And the gang, these gangs, one of the gangs for sure I know was created by the police, because one, my friend's son showed that he was an agent, showed that he testified against the person and that he was working for the government to get a lesser charge. And they created a gang out of this guy. So we see this in the past. And remember, Larry Hoover was on recording saying everybody should give a hustle a day for me. Every Tuesday, the money should all come for me. Now, if he's in prison wielding this power, how is that possible? Every call is recorded. That is why supposedly he's in the Supermax. But to me, when they say people is in the Supermax, it's a way of hiding people more than what they actually did. So consider that. When the stories don't sound real, there's a reason for that. So consider that. Hey, I saw James Lee in here. Thank you for the support, James. Thank you for giving me the motivation. James was asking, me to come on, and I'm sorry I hadn't been able to come on in the evenings. Hey, Dread, thank you for joining, homie. They got people showing they jab passes to watch Matrix. They definitely took the blue pill. Hey, Jim 21. Not up here. Not up here. They saying scantly it's a few restaurants, but yeah. You can go out to the Mall of America. You can go to the movies. Yeah, it's not up here. Not up here. They're not asking for that. Up here, we're not mandated to wear masks. The children are. The children are. Which sadly is, we're going to see this generation of masked people, which is my daughter's generation. We're going to see respiratory problems, asthma, just because of 6 to 8 hours of breathing in your carbon. I mean, we're going to find that harmful. And one day they're going to look back at this and say it was barbaric. It's even barbaric that they did what they're doing to people. It's barbaric. So keep that in mind. Sweden, the people taking the CV chips in the arms. Wow. Hey, DeAndre, I'm not AKT. I'm not surprised. Like right now, what we're seeing, we saw before with the sports. As I said before, a lot of people only understand life through sports. And that's why now they're canceling games. They're showing you that all these sports athletes are having it. This is Biden's only go-to. Remember, Biden only gets momentum when it comes to the virus. He doesn't have any other momentum other than the virus, other than the lockdowns, other than the shutdowns, other than the jab. This is the only momentum that Biden can have. This is the only momentum that he gives. And so we have to look at this as this is coming into 22. The elections is less, the mid-year elections is less than 2 years away. Remember, Obama had the same power. Matter of fact, Obama had a little more power than Biden because he had the majority for his first 4 years. And then we had the teacup people, the tea kettle party. We had them that took Obama down. Remember that. So this is what we're seeing again. We're seeing Biden needing some approval ratings. And then sister girl, you ain't seeing no more than Chucks and no more than pearls because people hate her. She is not. And vice president isn't a great job, but she couldn't even win in the primaries of her state. So no one likes this chick. Let me see, what is this? Dark Winter Part 2 again. Their spin is like Return of Thoth and Merlin and the Serpent. And this is my brother's work, he's very deep. Subscribe to him. I try to share his stuff because we both give awareness. Dark Winter, definitely. What people are doing to themselves is barbaric. A scam should have failed. It really should have. I agree. Mr. K2B2 say I agree. When making children wear masks is disgusting. It is terrible. And the younger, the worse it is. Hey, King Kane. It ain't that cold. It's 19 degrees, but the wind chill factor is higher today than yesterday. I just took my gloves off in the car. But my butt is getting toasty. I love this heated seat. But it's cold today. It's really cold. Yeah, it's freezing up here. Biden approval rating is like 42 and it's going up. I guess it's good for, yeah, anytime the shutdown stuff is Biden's go-to. And without that, hey, Divine Networking Solutions, thank you. Thank you for the cash. Thank you for the cash out. Thank you, Divine Networking. I appreciate it. I really do. And if you have a channel, matter of fact, people subscribe to you to give you support, because that's what we do. The people that do our content creators, we all, look to give people support. But thank you so much for Divine Networking. I appreciate that. This time of year, I know money's tight for everybody. So thank you so much. Lockdowns come first before society. And that seems to be Biden's go-to. That's the only way he can get his approval ratings up. And as I've said before, when they say these sports players is out because of it, they picking names out of a hat. That's all they're doing. They are picking names out of a hat. There is no reason for any games missed. They already said this type of flu is not as bad, very, very curable. So it's the same. We're seeing the same thing. The lockdowns are going to come because they're showing you. Matter of fact, it's a hockey game playing tonight with no fans already. It's an NHL game coming tonight with no fans. So believe the shutdowns we saw before when Biden was a cop, we're seeing again. Or excuse me, when Biden was just elected, we are seeing again. So I feel there's a lady that looks at our numbers, and I think she got my number. Did you get my number? Okay, she got my number. And so it's freezing out there. And she is walking around having to see all the numbers. Because like what they used to do, and let me tell you how silly this is. The parents that pick up the children, we used to park across the way here. We'd all meet in the gym. And that's how we pick our children up. Now they got all these cars waiting in line. It is like by the time the children come out at 3:00, it's probably 60 cars. 60 cars that they make sit in the loop, sitting in our cars. This is what they do to us. Instead of being allowed to sit in the gym, stand in the gym, walk our children out. But that's what they do. So, LeBron had to quarantine a few say because of a false positive test. Oh yeah, exactly. I think they're gonna pull it all New Year's. Well, I said this last week too. Is what they're going to do is gather all the money for Christmas. They're going to gather all the money for Christmas, vampire on us, as I was talking yesterday, vampire on us for this new year, because they need our energy to believe in the new year. And then they're going to shut things down again. And they're showing you this through the sports. Because again, some people only get what's going on in society through watching sports. People are that closed off where they don't understand what's going on. They're not political, but they love sports, and they only understand things through sports. They don't trip on the cell phones using school zone. They start screaming people and threatening tickets. Nah. Matter of fact, I do it because it ain't 5G at my house. It's 5G over here. That's one reason I tried it yesterday to see how the stream would go, but nah, they don't care. They don't care. Nah, they don't care. Nah. I mean, you can't bring guns up in here and knives, but nah, streaming, nah, nobody would bother me for that. Nah. Like when I was saying, when we used to be in the gym to pick up the children, people, the parents waiting just, on the phones. So, OJ, this is all biblical. Some ways it is. See, some ways that's the agenda being pushing, the end of times, to make people more fearful, no doubt. But you could say that any period. I mean, hell, when I was in first grade, we were still doing atomic bomb test. I'm 60 years old, and when I was in first grade, we would have fire drills where we leave the school, and we had atomic bomb drills where we got under our desk. Isn't that some shit? They told you if it was atomic bomb, that if you went under your desk, you would be safe. So this is always, I'm a baby boomer, so Cold War is all that. So, yeah. I give boxing and UFC a lot of credit. They managed to put all the events through the whole pandemic with no stop. Wrestling was a product, and to show, I've said this too, when I first talked during the pandemic, wrestling was the one thing that they were able, because it is scripted, it was easy for them to transition without fans, because it's already scripted and their acting is, and wrestling transitioned beautifully without fans. I mean, to me, that was the smartest of all of them, was wrestling, because again, it is all scripted, so it didn't change anything for them. If you understand how it is, the other sports, especially that bubble stuff, showed you how scripted it is, because of the bubble was a lot like the bubble. Pro basketball made you see it look like AAU, because AAU doesn't always, even though these are top players, there's not a lot of fans. So they steal that today, except with fire drills and meteor strikes. Wow, I never heard of meteor strikes, but wow. Yeah, but no, they don't trip on the phones up here, Conspiracy University. And the next thing I'm gonna say is about diamonds. Diamonds are not forever. Again, diamonds are amplifiers. Diamonds are a type of crystal, and as we know, crystals break. But they tell you the diamonds are forever, which is made up by De Beers. Diamonds, really, especially diamonds that people wear. I mean, this shit really has no really intrinsic value. Even the De Beers got a quote where they're worth nothing. Yes, in cutting, polishing, diamonds are useful, but a diamond will decay. Like you don't see, like when they would look in tombs, you could see decaying diamonds, where the diamond was set and it decayed. They've dug up bodies like 50 years where they exhume bodies and it'd be the ring, but the diamond would be decayed. So diamonds are not forever. That's just publicity. Diamonds are a type of crystal that do great amplifying. So, is wearing copper good? Yes. Let me tell you, one of the first examples that they were doing is they came out with a type of wrap that was a copper and magnetic wrap. It had it all in the wrap before you see the copper gloves and stuff. And so, when I was playing semi-pro basketball, say I sprained my ankle, I would put the diamonds, or excuse me, I would put the magnets and the copper on my body, over that part. And it was almost felt magical. The healing, once I went to that, it was almost a magical type of healing. So, but wearing copper daily is, I drink out of copper vessels every day, filtered with shungite. I do both, and copper is one of the metals that you need the most of. Now, wearing it every day, remember, copper tends to zinc up. Take the zinc off of it. But wearing it is going to give you a natural healing element. And especially, most copper comes out of Michigan. And we know that the copper mines in northern Michigan, a lot of people give the giants as the ones that started mining the copper. We know that the giants made these huge boats, and we find Michigan copper in other parts of the world. We find Michigan copper in ancient Kemet. So we know that the giants once took copper all around the world, even before the Mississippian culture, which I think I proved is nothing but expansion of the Omens and the Mayans, more than the Aztecs. But we find copper everywhere from Michigan. All my copper, my mugs don't come from Michigan, but I have a nugget, and my balls come from Michigan. The strongest healing copper comes from Michigan. And wearing copper is going to give you a natural twofold. It's going to give you a natural healing protection, and it's going to give you a type of protective barrier as well, spiritual barrier. Copper is good in the spiritual realm as well. Like if you want to give offerings, it really is strong to give offerings in a copper vessel. If you want to have kind of guide communication, copper is good in that communication. One of the better vessels for talking to guides is if you have some type of copper with you. It is great for that kind of communication. Hearing the guides, copper is a great vessel of that. If you believe when they put out that one of the oldest space probes that supposedly went to Jupiter, if you look at the disc that talked about human life, you see that they put copper with that. If we were scripted, I think the NFL is the most likely suspect indeed. Fake cubic zirconium looks better than real diamonds. And I've said this before, the problem with zirconium is Again, it's a type of metal. It's a metal crystal, which can amplify, but it just doesn't last. The thing I will say about diamonds is, if you are a busy person and you hit the shit like you hit diamonds, it ain't gonna really bother them. Zirconium, they're so clear that they don't hold scratches well. Um, the lab created diamonds, you don't have that problem of the scratching. But zirconiums, you got to be super, because they are so clear. You have to be super careful. And I've told the story back in the 80s. I got some of the very first finely cut zirconiums. I think they were called forever diamonds, but we pushed a lot of this stuff out and was never caught. This was before the metal testing to show that it was a metal. Jewelers couldn't tell the difference. Back in the 80s when this stuff first came out, that was one of my great hustles, was hustling them zirconiums. We caught people off guard with them. People really could not tell, but that's the problem with them. Yes, they're very brilliant, but again, hitting them, when you hit them, they'll scratch and it takes away the luster. That's my only thing. Palladium and rhodium are good as well. Great metals. Yes, they are. They are good metals. I know some people, when they meditate, they say they can't meditate with metals. I don't see that. Again, the beautiful thing about wearing silver, and I didn't get why you were seeing all the turquoise and silver. I didn't really understand, but what I understand now is when you wear silver, silver takes things to the quantum level. Silver will amplify, and turquoise is one of the greatest protectors far as spiritualness. And so when you mix that with silver, you are doubling its spiritual protection. And that's why you see so much turquoise in silver instead of gold. And so what silver does is, like when I meditate and I go into my deep levels, I know that silver is going to take all my metals and my minerals to their quantum level, and taking them to the quantum level, silver kind of reminds them what their purpose is. And so that's one of the first things I do is, when I look at my protection in my room, I turn on the protection, because popalite is a great container. A popalite is one thing. You put a popalite crystals around you, like you box yourself in. There's not too much that can break in other than the guides you allow. It is a great. So I turn that on, and then I turn my metals on. And through turning the metals on, again, I ask them what they do. Now, gold, I'll say this: you should wear a little bit of gold, especially a gold necklace, just because of acuity. Gold helps fighting dementia. Gold helps fighting memory loss. Gold and moldavite together are great for memory retention. And so everybody should wear a little gold chain. Doesn't matter if it's 10 karat, doesn't matter. As long as it's real gold around your neck, gold will help with acuity. And I don't know any other way I can say that. Rigging sports is legal as long as it's for entertainment purposes and not gambling. Well, now rigging with the gambling is allowed. It is allowed. Gambling in sports is allowed. So, yeah, health and wealth. There you go. So gambling is, well, remember, all sports have entertainment license. They are not legitimate. When you said there isn't a mass mandate up there in Minneapolis, you talking about Minneapolis? Yeah, Minneapolis. Yeah, I live in Minneapolis. A real diamond will always have flaws. I'll agree with you to a point. One of my diamonds is F, and it is basically what's called flawless. But even in the flawless sense, it's still, even being flawless F, it is still flaws, if that makes sense. But even in an F category, which is supposed to be flawless, there's still flaws. There in F diamonds, there's a blueness that it brings out that you don't see in the other. Like typically, what most people buy is I or less. But yeah, a perfect diamond is more than likely fake. There you go, and that's what you see in zirconiums. They are so perfect that they give the look of the F. Yep. Lab grown diamonds look more perfect, but they're worth like half a pack of. Yeah, they're not worth as much, but not a bad moissanite. I'm not really familiar with that. Yep. So I don't know. Lab created diamonds really aren't a bad investment. You can get a bigger carat, and again, you're not going to get the scratching problem. Now this is a star sapphire, which I have a connection of star sapphires. Um, this one, I don't know if this will show, but I've been able to trans in this one almost like a mirror. Now I've had other star sapphires that the star was in them all the time. I picked this one because of that translucent. You see the riddle in it, and I work with mirrors. I work with crystal balls. This one is almost like it's kind of amazing transing with this ring. So that's why I picked that. And then it gives you, if you have any sapphire with the star in it, it does give you that star radiant energy, almost kind of like a sunstone. Sunstones hold that kind of sun energy. And so on these dark days, it's good having the star sapphire because you get that sun energy. Well, there we go. There is Ethel. Hey, and there's Hazel. Ethel and Hazel are on cue. Well, guys, thank you for coming to my stream. This is why I'm here, to pick up the minis. And till we meet again.